Alright, we're going to work on some basing here. I just finished my Hanoverian regiment, and I'm going to put him up to the camera, show you what he's looking like. Very tabletop standard guys. We're not going for any awards here, but we are looking to get them looking really nice on the tabletop. I think they turned out really well. I can't say enough about using these Gatorade caps. I mean, it just makes life so much better. So yeah, I've got 3 groups of 4. Now with the black powder rules, we've got our stands here, so we're going to just go ahead and clip off 3. I broke them up into a couple batches. I've done 15 in this batch, and just snip them off the sprues here, and we're gonna pop these off. That one didn't go through all the way, and I will show you what I do here. So, got those 3 stands off the sprue. I'm going to set our clippers here. I'm going to go ahead and grab my X-Acto blade. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to clean off any of the loose plastic off the edges and clean that off like that, and like this. Just be really careful with the knife. I know I'm going towards myself, which technically is not the right way. You should be going away, but if you're careful with what you're doing, this one isn't a brand new blade, so it's not as sharp as a brand new blade, so it's not going through the plastic as easily. But these things, guys, these things are freaking lethal. Pretty well done with that. Put that back over here on my build desk. Now, here's the thing that I like to do. I like to make sure that I've got the nice green on the sides. You know, back in the 80s, back in the olden days, we would paint it that bright, almost like an ochre green, which is hideous, obviously. So what I've been using over here on my paint carousel is I have been using just a Russian uniform. It's kind of like almost like a olive drab. I'll show you what I'm using there. It's a Russian uniform. You want to do exactly what I'm doing. It seems to be a good match with the flocking. It's kind of a neutral color. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go ahead and shake this up. Again, I like to use my sinkers. I got a jar of sinkers. Put a jar of sinkers and put a sinker inside of the paint. I get a piece of a paper towel. I like to buy the paper towels that you can do the halves. You don't have to do a full paper towel, which makes it kind of nice. I'll put them off to the side. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to just go ahead and we're going to go ahead and just paint these up. I pretty much just go around the edges. I'm going to show you how I do it here real quick. Put a little bit in my palette. I look, and this is where I look, guys, just to see if what the consistency is, and see if I need to add a dropper of water, 2 droppers of water to get it the nice consistency. This seems to be perfect. I'll go with one of my cheapo brushes for this purpose. Typical brush you can grab a any hobby shop, Hobbyland, Hobby Lobby. You know, you can buy a whole package of cheap brushes, and that's what I like to do for this, use for this purpose. Going in with the green, I'm just going to adjust the camera here a little bit more for you. I'm going to go in and just hit the sides. I probably put a little bit too much paint on my palette, but that's okay. And you can kind of see where I can kind of cut in a little bit like this, and we'll let for that to dry, and then I'll come back and we will do some basing. We'll knock these 3 out here real fast. Now what I did on this last batch of Hanoverian troops, guys, is I did 15. I don't know why I didn't just paint one more for 16. I wasn't thinking. I've got 10 more on the sprue to build and paint. We're gonna base these Hanoverian infantry, British infantry, and then we are going to build out the remaining 30 French that I have on the sprues. We're just going to build them and paint all 30. I have enough Gatorade caps now. I've been saving up for the last month or so, drinking a Gatorade or two a day on the hot days especially at work, and then I've got 30 Gatorade caps. So I'm just going to head and bang out 30 French. We'll shoot a video on that. I'm going to show you the build and painting of those 30 French, because I'm going to show you how I'd go about making my my primary colors and how I'm doing my assembly line painting. So there we go. Go over here to my water. Let's get that brush cleaned out. Definitely put too much green paint on the palette. Let's get that cleaned up. And put him back in with the other brushes, and we'll let those dry, and then I'm going to pull my basing material over and we'll work on some basing. Alright, now we've got our bases are nice and dry. What I've decided to do, I've got these extra 3 scrappers because I didn't build that one extra, so keep that in mind, guys, as you're building this Waterloo black powder Waterloo kit. That if you're building infantry stands, it's 4, 4, 4, 4. I needed one more dude. That's okay. I've got the extra 10 over here in the sprues still. We'll do a build on those. I'm going to show you the build and the paint. I'm going to show you how I crank them out. Let's see. Now we're looking at 3 main colors. But one of the main colors, one of the tricks is, since I did a base coat of white, you know, and if I'm careful with the red around the straps, then I did need to fool with the white. So I'm going to show you that little trick. It's great for the speed painting. It's great for cranking out these large units. So we'll get back to getting this build going on. I'm going to use my Bob Smith. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in, adjust the camera a little bit, we're going to go in with the Bob Smith, basically super glue, for those guys that are just getting into the hobby. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to do 2, and I'm reading in the rules where we can do skirmishers. So we can still rank these guys up. I'm going to do a smaller base and put 2. And then 2, because if you do the math with the other 10, I'm still going to end up with an odd figure, which I don't understand if you're building them by 4s, but it is what it is. So just a FYI there. So we're going to go ahead and start pulling these off. I'm going to just put them off to the side because we're going to, next video, we are going to do a show you the build of the French, the final 30 of this kit. And this kit will be almost done. We got another 30 British to do. Don't be put off by the numbers. It's really not so bad. These miniatures are really really fun to do. So just do a little. We're going to do a little dab, and we're going to put him there. So we're going to go ahead and base him up, pull him off. Now you just want to check that the tack, you get all the tack off the bottom of the base, obviously, but this is really good stuff. I'll show you what I use for anyone that's looking to do what I'm doing. Another Amazon special. I'll try to put the link below with the Amazon link. So yeah, so go ahead and put another little dab. Doesn't take much. I'm gonna do a little dab. We're gonna rank them up. Ranking them up, and more pulling off the tack. You see how well this stuff holds so good. It's not my idea. It's other great hobbyists out there have good videos that show you the little tricks and the secrets of cranking these mass infantry units out. It's also going to work good on just your skirmish games, guys. You just, you know, just if you're only building 3 or 4 models, it doesn't really matter. So you see I've got my green trim. We're doing 4x4. I'm just going to set these off to the side since I'm going to be building and putting French troops right onto those caps. So I'm just going to crank these out. Try to give you an idea of what I'm spending on these guys and time-wise to do these 15 that I just did, these Hanoverian regiment. I don't know, I probably got the whole week. You know, this whole past week. Last weekend, I say I started on my base colors. I started with the gray pants. Then I went in, did the red jackets. I could say the trick, and I'm going to show you on the next the final 10 that I build on this. You can see the yellow band on those hats. I'm going to try something different next time. Last time I did the black brim, and then I did the red cap when I did the red. No, I did the red cap when I did the red tunic or the jacket. Then I came back in and did the black boots, the black packs, the black brim, the black. What would you call it, ammunition pouch, and then I came in and I did the yellow stripe. I think what I'm going to do, because then I had to go back and touch up some of the black brims and the red caps because I couldn't keep the yellow perfectly clean all the way around. So I think what I'm going to do next time, and we'll experiment with that, is I will do the yellow band first. Right? I'm going to do the yellow band and the yellow cuffs, and then I'm going to come in and do the red. So I'm going to do the yellow before the red, and then I'll finish up with the black and see if I can keep it a little neater and maybe save a little time from going back in and doing touch-ups. So anyways, that's what you do. You go along, guys, just getting into this hobby. Look, everything's not fast and sure. You've just got to sometimes experiment just a little bit. And make adjustments, you know, just experiment, you know. This is just, you know, me sharing how I'm doing this build. I'm just getting into Napoleonics. I kind of felt like my painting skills were up to the point where I could tackle large units like this and still get a good quality by doing a tabletop standard. There's guys out there, you know, obviously the guys that are painting for the books and the illustrations in the books. Now the trick is, guys, if you're going to go more than tabletop standard, what they're doing is they're literally just going back in and just doing more and more layers. I could have done that with these. I felt that with the base colors, with the wash, these looked really good because I really am getting better at keeping everything within the lines. I really don't have to do a whole lot of touch-ups to get them to tabletop standard. But you know, these photo quality guys, you know, they're just going in and they're adding more layers of different shades of red, different shades of gray, different flesh colors on the faces, and getting all those extra highlights. Tabletop standard, I'm not wanting to spend that much time. I want them to look really good on the tabletop, don't get me wrong, but I'm not looking to spend 2 weeks doing 15 troops as opposed to just 1 week. Now granted, if you got the time, you could sit down and easily do these in a day if you really wanted to. I mean, you could just sit down and power paint and just crank these 15 guys out just in 1 day. Then you're taking some breaks. I'm going to do 2 on here. I'm going to put 1 on here, and I'm going to set him off to the side, and then when I finish up the other Hanoverian regiment, I'll finish that out since I didn't count properly. So just another dumb mistake, and we'll pull him off. We'll go ahead and at least just get him mounted. I'm not going to finish basing him. I'm just going to go ahead and glue him and mount him. And there. That way we can use these, we can break these off of the formation, we can do a partial formation, we can do a front formation to form a firing line. We can fire these guys two by two, or we can break them off and form them into skirmishers, right? Per the rules. So I'm going to take this one lone Hanoverian guy, set him over here by the Imperial Palace. If you guys see my other videos, the Imperial Palace of the Imperium for the Space Marines. Alright, so we're going to let that dry. We're going to come back and I'm going to start showing you my techniques for doing basing. Alright, we're back, and I'm going to show you my technique that I like to use, and just something, you know, like I said earlier, it's just constantly working on making things a little better and better at a time. Picked up these 100 mil little screw tops that would be similar to like an Elmer's glue bottle. You can get these on Amazon. I think it's 15 bucks for 20 of them. Comes with a big package. I'm using them for a lot of different things, especially my airbrush. Now, you see in other videos I did go ahead and switch over to a wood glue for my basing, because wood glue is a little thicker. It's not as runny. It doesn't tend to run off of the base of the bottles. It's got a colorant. It's basically PVA glue that's a little thicker and has a colorant, and as it dries you don't get that shininess, because a lot of times that the grass flocking will basically work through the glue as it dries, and sometimes it'll look shiny. Now granted, you can fix a lot of that with using a dull coat, top coat, which is going to be our next segment. We're going to go ahead and get these grassed. I'm not really going to do a whole lot of specialty basing, like you know, tall grass stands, flowers. I have all that kind of stuff, rocks. I'm pretty much, you know, these are your lock, stock, and barrel troops. I'm pretty much just going to use my standard grass blend. So that's a tip for you new guys. You can look through here and you can see, we'll get that hunk out of there. I've got fine aggregate in here, which is almost basically like a sand. I've mixed in sand, I've mixed in army painter, static grass, which is kind of longer. I've used three different, or really two different types of static grass. You can get from a number of different manufacturers. I buy it in bulk, and this is what I like to use for doing my miniatures, and I have a larger Tupperware container that I use for doing my terrain pieces and things. So you know, we're just gonna knock this out real quick, set this off to the side, and show you basically some of my other videos. I kind of went over this, but with this fine tip point, I'm going to show you that you can get in here pretty tight. Now, the other tool I like to use, a nice little homemade tool, is all this is a skewer that you would use for shish kebabs, and you can buy these in any grocery store. You buy a package of them. They're just little wood stakes, and I'll just cut them into little segments. I use them for various things, different types of projects, but all you need is a small piece like this, and then I just took my X-Acto blade and made it into a point, not too sharp. And then all we're going to do is we're going to go into the middle here, guys. See, we're going to insert this tip into the middle. I'm going to put a fair amount of glue there in the middle. And then the nice thing is you just sit here with your tip and you just work it out to the edges, and you'll find as you work it out to the edges, you can see how it just kind of fills in. And since it's a little thicker, and I buy this wood glue by the gallon, you know, then I just refill my bottle. It goes a really long way. And I think for a gallon here in the US, you can get a gallon of wood glue for like 15 bucks. You know, we're talking about enough wood glue that's going to last you for several years, depending on how many projects you like to do. But you can see I just use my little pointy stick. I'm just taking that blob that I put in the middle of the base, of the Warlord miniature base, and I'm just working it out. You don't have to buy any fancy glue from a fancy scenery company. You just go to your local hardware store, you get a gallon of wood glue. You get on Amazon. That's the only place I've been able to find those little bottles, the little clear bottles. You know, get them, work them up onto the base. Make sure the base of the model is covered good in the glue all the way up to the shoes or the boots. And then you just simply go into your flocking and go to all four corners. I kind of work it into the sides and then shake. And you can see how that Russian green really blends really nice with that little bit lighter color, and it kind of just really works as a great accent to what you're doing there. So, and that's what I do. I'll just set them off here. I'm going to let that dry. Oops, I left it too far on the side when I was showing you guys on camera. You can see how some of it came off. You don't want to do that. You want to kind of keep it level. So get a little paper towel here, clean my hands off. Go ahead and just sit back in with the flocking to kind of dry that out. I don't like any of this on the edges, so we'll set that off to the side. And we will do a couple more here for you just to show you again how I'm doing it. And then next segment we'll go over to the paint booth table. I will show you the process that I will use to top coat these and seal these and get them ready. So let's go ahead and we're going to go in again with our tip in the middle, insert it in the middle. I want to put a blob in the right in the middle. Okay. I'm going to come in with my little handy stick again, and we're just going to knock these out and show you how fast this goes. Now, on one of the forums on Facebook, because I'm in with several of them, so one of the concerns is, oh, how do we get younger people into the hobby? So I guess, you know, one of the things that would be you know, myself, and there's other guys out there putting videos out that show you that there are ways to do this. There's a system to doing these miniatures and models in general. And once you learn the system, because I think a lot of young people get turned off by the fact that, oh, I can't get done quickly, this looks like too much work. This is not work, guys. This is actual fun. You know, this is a lot of fun. So if we can show you guys, young guys, tumbling across these channels, that this is a fun hobby, you know, and you're going to get frustrated at first. The painting is not going to come easy at first. And like I said in other videos, the Germans have a saying, alles Anfang ist schwer. Every beginning is difficult. And the more you do it, the better you get. And then you start to come out with a system, like I'm showing you my little system of basing. You know, I've gone from using Elmer's glue. It tends to be too runny, and then I thought, well, you know, let's try this, let's try that. And then also just picking up stuff off of other channels and other tips, which is what this is all about. So we want to get in here, get my hand out of the way there, sorry guys, and get this worked up to the edges. And you know, just spending an afternoon down here in the shop banging out some British infantry. And you know, it's a lot of fun. Hobbying is a lot of fun. Now we have some great projects coming up, guys. Keep coming back to the channel. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Definitely like the channel. It definitely helps me out. I do make a little bit of money off the channel from the viewership, obviously, and that helps offset some of the cost of my hobby. But that's not the main reason we're doing this. I want to share the hobby, encourage you guys to get into the hobby, stay with the hobby, don't quit. There's always different facets, but we're going to start doing some other model kits. I don't just do wargaming. I'm also going to be working on some upcoming model kits. I'm working on another diorama. It's going to be the T-34 with a ZIS-5 transport truck, which, you know, the Soviets used as transport for their troops. And that's going to be a really fun build. I'm looking forward to that. I've also ordered a 88 millimeter gun team, German gun team from World War II. We're going to do that. That's going to be another diorama I'm going to do. So keep checking back. I don't just do wargaming. We're also going to be doing some model kit dioramas. Look back on some of my other videos. You can see the Easy 8 diorama and the Tiger 1 diorama. And those are done. We're going to add to that. We're going to do a Soviet diorama of the same theme. And then when we're done with that, we're going to be working on a British version. So I'll have all the factions of World War II represented. So yeah. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to let that dry good. Then we're going to come back in with just a small hobby brush. And what I'll be doing is I'll be going in along with the feet and getting any of the loose static grass off of the feet and areas on the model that I don't want static grass before we do our final dull coat, top coat with the airbrush.